Hi everybody, my name is Father Michael Caruso. I'm a Jesuit priest and I'm president here at St. Ignatius College Prep. Our school was founded in 1869. We're on the doorstep of downtown Chicago. We're about a mile from the lake on Roosevelt Road. Some people refer to us as the Hogwarts on Roosevelt Road. But we draw kids from all over the city, 3 states, 7 counties, 165 zip codes, 275 grade schools, and we wish you well. Remember that Ignatius begins with I and ends with us. We've been forming leaders for the church, the nation, and the city since 1869.
Dip my shrimp. Much for joining for tasting time.
Hi, I'm Katie O'Reilly and welcome to KTO's Food Carnival. This episode is so fun, as they all are, but this one is called Spirit Filled Bites. One might be thinking, what do you mean by a spirit-filled bite? Okay, I'm going to put it into food terms for you because this is kind of something that all of us can relate to. You know when you have an eclair or a donut and you inject it with like the best jelly or the best cream and you fill it up and then you get to eat it, and when you bite into it, it's delicious. Well, my featured guest today is Father Michael Caruso, and his spirit is that infectious. When you meet him, he fills you just in his presence and his understanding and his kindness. He is genuinely a person for others. I mean it. He works as currently the president of St. Ignatius College Prep here in Chicago, which I'm a graduate of, and I am a full believer because I was brought up to be a person for others. But this man, having only been there about 4 years, embodies the Jesuit tradition like none other. He loves the students. He loves to teach them. He loves to be around them. He loves to listen to them. But as a community, he also embraces all of us that support those students and the learning process. He's an incredible human with a generous, generous spirit. And some of us strive to be really good people, but he actually embodies it. So I know you're going to gather so much from him. And the reason I love Father Caruso for this one is he also loves food. Here's a guy who truly gets how spirit and people and food merge together and create a joyful experience. He is so delightful. Just being around this man embraces you and it uplifts you. It's incredible. So there's so many times in my life I don't even know him that well. It's not like I call him daily, but there have been times where I've been struggling in kind of a spiritual level of like, am I doing the right thing? Am I on the right path? Am I listening? Am I doing good for others? Sometimes those are things that hit me hard as deep questions. And I would reach out just in an email to Father Caruso, and maybe like a day or two later, I would get the gift of the absolute perfect words that inspired and embraced the mission that I was on and gave me that confidence to continue to be the good person and to strive toward being a good person and a person for others. This is so wonderful. In meeting him, he will fill your spirit. He is literally a person that fills the spirit. And then in my tips, I've actually reached out to him for some of his favorite food items. So I'm going to surprise him with my version of what he loves. And those are some real treats. So I can't wait to take you there. But first, let's go meet Father Michael Caruso. Welcome, Father.
Thanks, Katie. Good to be here with you.
Yeah, and I have to start off this Spirit Filled Bites. I kind of gave a little intro, and I'm going to give you something that I'm going to throw out at you and what my inspiration behind the Spirit Filled Bites is. And it's like this. I always tie everything into food. So
I like that.
yeah,
That's good.
if you have a donut or like a really good eclair and you fill it with like that amazing filling, it becomes magical and mystical. Well, I relate that to you because I really think, and I know you're super humble, so let me just say this. You are a person that absolutely embodies that. You give your spirit just by being with people, and it enriches their lives and helps to build them. And I want to start off by saying, okay, obviously I've got this show. Most people out there who watch me know that I am super inspired by people and food. I've got a deep passion for food. Why don't you share with us, what are some of the things that really inspire you?
Okay, things that inspire me. All right. Well, you know, I'm working at a great place, St. Ignatius College Prep.
You are.
You're an alum. We should be truth in advertising here, I think. One of our great alums doing creative things. But, you know, it's a real privilege to work with those students.
Yeah.
Their families and the folks that are there. But we were just talking a little bit before the show began, the filming, about the kids coming in as freshmen. And they're mildly terrified.
I laugh because I was one of them, so I have this memory recall.
But do you have a recollection? Because a lot of kids come in, they're mildly terrified when they come in.
Scariest day of my life, yes.
But within a few hours, certainly within a few days, they start finding their sea legs or equilibrium. They start making friends.
Very quickly, very quickly.
And in those 4 years, I say it's a privilege to work with them because so much happens in those 4 years. Last night I was watching the rehearsal. They're preparing the fall musical, The Little Mermaid.
Oh, fun.
And it's delightful. And we have so much talent. For the first time in our history, the Harlequins have 2 casts.
Oh.
And so there's so much talent there. But watching these kids throw themselves into this, and I've popped in a couple of times just to see the progress, and it's inspiring. But over the 4 years, to watch somebody who, when you extend your hand, you greet them, you get to know them by name, they really don't know what to do, some of them, and many of them are very poised too, but at the end of 4 years, they're looking you in the eye and having a conversation like we're having now. That is very inspiring, especially it's edifying to be a part of that.
It is. It's such a unique experience. Now, the Jesuit community in general is like so embracing of the spirit. It's not just education. It's not just like, here's the highest book you could ever read and are you the best student and are you straight A. It's about taking these young souls, basically, because as a freshman you feel so raw and young, and you walk in, like you said, and then nurturing them and transforming them to become people for others,
right,
which is really so huge. And that's what I think that you give to so many people with your spirit. And it's living by example, I think, that is so huge. I've seen you, I've walked into the school and I've seen you standing in the halls watching the students, and just by your presence, giving them a smile or that little extra added, somebody's here taking care of you, overlook, you know, it gives them the confidence, and it's so cool. So, I mean, that's amazing. What drew you to the Jesuit? Like, where was your calling? Kind of like, I'm taking you back a little bit, but like what initially sort of, you know, got you into, where was your inner calling?
Yeah, we're getting into Mr. Peabody's way back.
I know, but that's okay. We'll take you back.
I think a lot of that is through family, through school. I went to Catholic schools. I was very inspired by a lot of the sisters who taught me, Sisters of Mercy, Apostles of the Sacred Heart, and then also just seeing happy priests, happy sisters. And in my day and age, we were always being encouraged, is God calling you to this? Does God want you to do this?
I kind of had that same Catholic upbringing myself. I did.
And I think that's a good thing to kind of consider the question, the big question, what does God want me to do with my life? He, of course, wants you to be a good person, a person of service, engaged, loving, following the top 10 and all the other things that are there. But beyond that, how will you spend your life? So the more I thought about these kinds of things, the more I thought, maybe I might be able to be a priest. And eventually did that, went into seminary after high school, went to a college seminary, Conception College Seminary. It's in the northwest corner of Missouri. After that, I came here to Chicago, to St. Mary of the Lake Seminary, and was ordained a priest in '82. Served in several parishes in Kansas City, where I'm from.
Right.
And then I had kind of a vocation within a vocation, because a few years later, I really was interested in education. I was attracted to the spirituality of the Jesuits that you mentioned earlier. And so I entered the Society of Jesus. And it's probably the best decision I've made in my life. And I've been very happy, but I've worked in schools ever since I entered. So I've worked in high schools. I mainly had worked in higher education. That was really where I thought I would be the rest of my life. But when this job, I was invited to apply for the job at St. Ignatius College Prep as president. And the more I looked at it, the more I thought, well, I don't really want to go into high school work again. I'm happy. I was living in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
I had a view.
I was going to say, what were you giving up? Right.
It never got above 80 degrees there. It was pretty much paradise. But I had lived in Chicago, loved the people here. And the more I looked at the school, the more I thought, this seems more like a small college than it does a typical high school. So as I tell people, I threw my hat in the ring, and they scraped the bottom of the barrel and brought me out here for the job.
When you came to St. Ignatius, I remember that it was noted that you were really into Mickey Mouse and Walt Disney.
Yeah.
I don't mean to present the cameo. God, I was going to say God's calling. Hello, you're answering the call. All right, now I think I have some insider knowledge on what this represents to you, but share your own story on that, because that's really unique.
Well, people will often ask me, how did you get interested in Disney? And the answer, it's a good question, but I change it a bit. I say, it's more, how did I not lose interest in Disney? Because growing up in the 60s, Sunday night you would watch The Wonderful World of Disney. Any kid growing up in the late 50s, 60s, the greatest pilgrimage you could make, even probably greater than going to Rome or Lourdes, would be going to Disneyland.
Yes.
And, we didn't call them this at the time, but Walt Disney would be doing infomercials and for the new attractions. It was like your friends would go, and you'd think, oh my God, how can I ever get
And there weren't as many amusement parks. I mean, that was like the Mecca, like you said. It was like, that's where you go.
But I always had an interest in animation. I always found it enjoyable and interesting. And so I've always kept up on that. And as I became an adult, I started studying it a bit more, have a small collection of the cells that are used to make, at least in the old days before digital work in computers, I was actually able to collect some of these, and people have given me a few over the years. But then I got interested when I was in higher education in this question: what can schools learn from the Disney company? And I said, well, to the degree, kids love coming here, can't wait to get back. They enjoy being with one another.
Yeah.
And to the degree that they learn some things, that's not a bad thing to aim for.
I love that message. I mean, that is a solid message. If you can get kids to want to go to high school, especially when it's academically challenging, you have long days, you're under stress, you're maybe going through some hormonal changes, and they want to show up, that is extraordinary. I mean, that's a great spirit, and that fills people's spirits. That kind of goes back to the whole point, is that when you can embody that yourself and say, this is my wish for you, and then represent that and have that energy. There's a lot of good positive energy, and that's critical time. Like I said, any molding of human spirit gives back to our community, because the better we all are, the better our world is. And that's really what you try and teach. You don't have to do it one way, but just be a positive energy and then pass it on.
Yeah, and I think you hit a key word there that I elaborate a bit on, is the sense of community. I told the freshmen this year when they came in, I said, this is your first day here, but as you're here in the next 4 years, you know what happens in high school, those teen years, they start drifting a bit more from the family, and the school becomes kind of their second home.
Completely.
And you're going to be spending most of your waking hours in this building with sports, with rehearsals, Model UN, you name it, whatever activities they're in, as it becomes your second family. And I think you hit the key. You feel like you're a part of an important community, and that's where the Spirit is infusing all of that.
Yeah, it's wonderful. And I also want to say that within that community, You build community through food. And the two of us have an absolute passion for eating. And the best thing about eating is enjoying it with other people.
Amen.
Right? And having those experiences where you can say, this memory makes me feel good because I remember eating this where, sharing it with somebody else, and then to sit down and share it again with others and kind of give through food. Now, you do that beautifully. Even in your parties, you don't give speeches, you give food, you give party, you give fun, you give conversation, you give, of yourself, and let others give of themselves at a party. So that's so cool. So our tasting time today, I've asked you to invite a few people that are significant, which is going to be super fun. And we're going to sit down, and I often don't give control to my featured guest as to what I'm going to create, but this time I actually did. And we're going to have the artichokes and the pasta, which is a St. Joseph's Day pasta, which I think is so cool because you actually presented me with something new.
Hi everybody, my name is Father Michael Caruso. I'm a Jesuit priest and I'm president here at St. Ignatius College Prep. Our school was founded in 1869. We're on the doorstep of downtown Chicago. We're about a mile from the lake on Roosevelt Road. Some people refer to us as the Hogwarts on Roosevelt Road. But we draw kids from all over the city, 3 states, 7 counties, 165 zip codes, 275 great schools, and we wish you well. Remember that Ignatius begins with I and ends with us. We've been forming leaders for the church, the nation, and the city since 1869.
This is my spirit-filled tasting tip time. This is so amazing because I got a couple of ideas from Father Caruso, but I didn't get anything too specific, except for he loves stuffed artichokes. One of my favorite things of all times is the artichoke. When I was in Spain, I would eat artichokes just boiled with lemon and butter, and oh man, they would come in different sizes and different seasons, sometimes small, sometimes big. This is a general size artichoke that you're seeing here in front of us. And what you need to do is clean them really well no matter what you do. Starting with a fresh artichoke, you always snip the stem, but not too much because that's a nice tender part of the heart. And then you clean the top here and break off all these leaves. You're left with a smaller version. Still a few of the tender leaves, but you have to carve out the inside ones to get those bristly ones. Then the magic begins. And this is where we start to have some fun. How do we get the artichoke exactly how we want it and serve it to our guests at a party, which is what I always enjoy doing. I'm showing you 2 ways. One is a stuffed then baked artichoke. The other is a stuffed then fried artichoke. I gotta be honest, I don't know if one is better than the other. They are both phenomenal. Let's start with the stuffed and baked. A lot of people are kind of used to a stuffed baked artichoke. What we stuffed it with is if you take your shallots, maybe a little garlic, and mix them with your breadcrumbs and a little butter, a little Parmesan, a little lemon, and make that mixture nice and reduced, then stuff your artichokes. Now before you stuff your artichokes, you either want to boil them down in a little lemon water or bake them off so they soften, so you par bake them. You stuff them and then you sprinkle them with your topping of your breadcrumbs, put them under the broiler right before your guests come, and this is what it turns out to look like. So beautiful, delicious, fabulous. I've got this one being served with, of course, a nice garlicky aioli with a little lemon Parmesan. Can't be beat. Over here on the fried artichokes, I've done the same method with the stuffing, but then I've breaded it with a little egg wash, dunk panko breadcrumbs into that deep fryer, and look at that deliciousness. So amazing. These are super easy and everybody loves fried food. You're not gonna get around that. Okay, The perfect marriage is an artichoke with lemon, artichoke with butter. 2 marriages, really can't miss them. So any of those beautiful ingredients, they're decadent, they're wonderful, they're ways of working around it. So you can always add a little lemon squeeze, which I'm gonna do here. I'm gonna show you actually my plate. Do a little lemon squeeze. Oh, so yummy. And I'm gonna actually start with the fried one, and I'm gonna dip it in my sauce. And that's your garlic lemon aioli with a little Parmesan. I like all those ingredients. It's got a lot of garlic, which I love. That is so decadent and delicious. I wish you could take a bite with me right now because it's got crunch, it's got a little creaminess, it's got that tanginess from the artichoke, and then the creamy garlicky sauce and the lemon zesty brightness. It is fabulous. Your guests will love that. Now, one thing to keep in mind in this, if you're not gonna be able to deep fry at the last minute at the party, do them in advance, stick them in the oven so they're nice and warm. That should do it and keep them nice and crisp. Wonderful. They wanna be served hot, so if you can pass them out, do so. It also gives you a little time to talk to your guests. All right, now with this baked one, I'm gonna be a little bit more daring because I'm gonna dip in the butter because that's my favorite way to eat them, honestly. I am just so in love with garlic butter. It's got a little breadcrumbs in this butter to thicken it a little bit. You can kind of see on there. So yummy. So yummy. And this heart is the very best part. I didn't double dip because it's just me. So, you know, I can do that. I own that butter. I know it's a little bit dripping down my chin, and that is beautiful. This is so yummy. I could have like an artichoke festival in my life, and this kind of celebrates my favorite ways. So I hope you try these at home and enjoy. This is so much fun to have everybody here. This is our Spirit Filled Bites, and we've got Father Caruso, who we just spoke with, and now we're tasting some of his favorite foods that I've designed for him. And he has invited 4 very fun people to join because these people like to eat and they've got really good spirits. So I'm gonna have you quickly introduce everybody and share just a little nibble on who they are.
You got it, my pleasure. So here we have Nick Christie. Nick has 5 sons, a wonderful wife, Faith. 4 of those boys have been at our school, St. Ignatius, and his 8th grader, Luke, who is hopefully on his way. Seated to his right is a wonderful lady, Mrs. Ollie McLemore. Her son Nelson attended the school, and she's been a great friend of St. Ignatius for many years. And so over here is another Christie, Dean Christie. He's a brother of Nick on the other side of the table. They're great partners all the time in law, and he has 3 wonderful children too. And over here is my press agent, Ellen Tully, great friend of St. Ignatius College Prep. Her children went there and a great supporter, and all of these folks enjoy very good food.
Okay, so everybody has something in common. We all like food. We all like Father Caruso, and we all have good spirits. So I'm going to share. When I asked Father Caruso for some of his favorite foods, was stuffed artichokes and a pasta. But right here, we're talking stuffed artichokes. And what often comes to mind is I like to design, because I'm a culinary designer, for food that people can eat oftentimes at a party. One is the fried version, which actually you can pick up with your fingers at a party. And the other is a baked stuff, which I'll be honest with you, it is a little bit more messy, so feel free to just dive in, get messy on film. We don't care, we like it. We've got drawn butter, we've got some lemon, we've got a garlic Parmesan aioli, which I strongly suggest if you love garlic, go there, because we all love garlic. We're in a garlic-free environment. We'll all eat it, and then we're good. So let's enjoy, and then we'll talk food. I love artichokes, so I was thrilled to hear this, because even when I was in Spain, like there's something about that Mediterranean environment where you just want to like dive into especially the young spring ones. You boil them down, you butter, you think, oh, I'll just have an artichoke, I'm just eating veggies, but then you cover it in butter and garlic aioli, and And you fry it. If anybody wants to use your fingers, go ahead. Yeah, oh yeah, it's finger food.
Well, remember, food runs through the whole Bible, from the very beginning with the tree, with the apple, all the way. Cardinal Bowen says one of his favorite lines in Scripture is in the Gospel of John after the resurrection, and the disciples are on the lake, and Jesus appears and says, "Do you have anything here to eat?"
I like the time it takes to eat the artichoke.
I know.
It slows you down a little.
That's true, isn't it?
It's fun.
That's not time and dash.
No, right.
Right.
It matches well with wine. It does.
There's always a good pairing.
Yep.
Yes.
It does.
Okay, we're going to try the pasta next. This has been delicious. This is called St. Joseph's Day pasta. Okay, what's St. Joseph's Day? Well, being Irish and Italian, I'm going to share with you that St. Joseph's Day is 2 days after St. Patrick's Day. So for me, I get to celebrate twice. St. Patrick's Day being March 17th, St. Joseph's Day being March 19th. And we embrace and usually eat lots and lots of pasta. That's when my Italian side really comes out. This was also one of Father Caruso's favorite recipes. Now, it looks like ordinary pasta, maybe to you and I, but it's actually not. It's got some secrets that are just divine, honestly. Okay, so one of the starts of this pasta is that you start with the sauce. Let's talk about the sauce first. Our sauce is going to be a rustic tomato sauce that we all love. So if you have a marinara that you like to make, any secret family recipes, what I like to do is slice down garlic, saute them on a medium-high heat in olive oil, and then add my tomatoes, either canned tomatoes or fresh tomatoes, depending on the time of the year. Cook that down, and then the real secret to this one is hopefully you have an Italian market, you go and you buy this sauce with sardines in it. Okay, I know it sounds crazy, but it's actually from Italy, imported. It's got this really deep, flavorful umami seaside feel that adds such a beautiful depth to your pasta sauce and takes your palate in a totally new direction. It's phenomenal. Then what we do is top it with toasted Parmesan breadcrumbs, which are kind of colloquially cited as being St. Joseph's wood chips. So from the religious perspective, Rome, the Pope, we've got some wood chips here that are really dynamite on your pasta. I'm loving it. So when you sprinkle those on, you get a bite that's phenomenal. But I'm gonna back us up because pasta is a huge category. And we all love it in different ways. Culturally, we like it. There's a few secrets to cooking pasta. First is, you have to add salt to your water when you're boiling your pasta. It doesn't really matter what shape pasta you use. I say what you're comfortable with. People have a preference. I mean, look at the different shapes that pasta can come in. This is a gorgeous sauce. Once you cook your pasta in your salted water, stop when you're a little al dente. You don't want to get it mushy. That's too far gone. Little al dente, because what you want to do is actually take your pasta, pull it from your water, and put it right into your pan that has your hot sauce and mix it all together and cook it so it kind of infuses and cooks the pasta the rest of the way. Yum. I'm going to take a bite and share with you because I wish you could be here with me. This is divine. Now, when eating pasta, especially spaghetti, you want to spin it. And if you can't quite get it, whoa, see? It's not always easy. But what you want to do, and just love it. That fills my mouth. It is a bounty of flavor. This is a pasta favorite of Father Caruso. And this is a St. Joseph's Day pasta. Now, I could sit here and explain it, but I really want you to explain it because there's some ingredients that are going to surprise everybody at this table.
Sure. So this is a traditional dish that was served on the Feast of St. Joseph in Kansas City, Missouri, where I'm from, among the Italians there. Most of the folks there were from Sicily, and they brought this dish with them. Now, they called it in Kansas City pasta milanese. But no one really knows it by that name. I don't know how or why that name came up, but in Sicily they call this pasta con sardine. Pasta with sardines. But it's served on the Feast of St. Joseph, which falls in the Lenten season. So, you know, we're abstaining from meat and all kinds of goodies. But this is a wonderful pasta. It's very herbal. It has fennel in it. You would not know there's fish in it.
Completely. And when I first received the ingredient, because there's that magic can I had shown already, and I opened it up, I was shocked to see, first of all, that the sardines didn't represent what I mean, oftentimes in this country we get sardines and we think fishy. There was no elements of that, and actually it was in herbs. It was like packed in olive and herbs in a sauce that was so intriguing. And what you do, just to fill everybody in, is you make your favorite, like pomodoro or marinara sauce, whatever you're comfortable with, your own family recipe. Then you add this to it, and then instead of cheese, because fish and cheese don't always combine, although we're not setting any rules, we're just saying for this one, it's breadcrumbs. So what we want to do is let's dive in. Yeah.
You know, the nice thing with the breadcrumbs is they kind of represent the sawdust. Remember, St. Joseph was a carpenter, so the sawdust from the carpenter's shop.
I love Greek, I love Italian. I mean, any family and ethnic traditions that can be carried through and brought into a gathering is how the Spirit fills the people. And thank you for joining KTO's Food Carnival Spirit Filled Bites. We strongly suggest you go out and join your family and friends and share a meal. Cheers, everyone. Thanks for joining.
Hi everybody, my name is Father Michael Caruso. I'm a Jesuit priest and I'm president here at St. Ignatius College Prep. Our school was founded in 1869. We're on the doorstep of downtown Chicago. We're about a mile from the lake on Roosevelt Road. Some people refer to us as the Hogwarts on Roosevelt Road. But we draw kids from all over the city, 3 states, 7 counties, 165 zip codes, 275 great schools, and we wish you well. Remember that Ignatius begins with I and ends with us. We've been forming leaders for the church, the nation, and the city since 1869.